Okay, so no word of a lie. Today's YouTube video I think is going to be an absolute banger, but it almost didn't exist. I went in my track session, I was filming on the GoPro, the 360, and I tried to use the drone. I took the memory card out of the GoPro to put it into the drone, set it down, found a spare memory card in the drone bag, and then completely forgot about the memory card that I'd filmed everything on. But luckily the track is only about 200 meters across the road. And look at this little beauty. I went and got it back. I'm so happy. Enjoy the video. Do you ever wake up and you're unsure what training to do? Maybe you're not following a plan. Maybe you could do a run with a group, or you could do your own session. I have days like that all the time. And that's why I plan my training in a way that when I wake up, I know exactly what to do to avoid some of that indecision. Let's talk about how to structure your training week and get rid of some of that indecision, so when you wake up you know exactly what to do and you can go do it to the best of your ability. I gotta tell you, my body's pretty tight and pretty sore. But let's finish the rest of this warm-up, 4K easy. We'll go to the track. We can talk about my training for today, and then hopefully I can give you some advice on how you could structure your training week. See you at the track. But let's talk about today's session. So what I'm going to do is I've done a lot of work at the bottom end of threshold. I've done work above threshold. And when I look at the last 10 to 12 days, I haven't done anything right at LT2. So I've done work at the lower end, which is LT1. I've done work above. I've done VO2 max. I've done aerobic power. But today's a chance to do some work at LT2. Why that's important is because for me to be able to put this sort of 10 to 12 day block behind me, I need to know that I've covered all angles. I need to get good at running 3-minute Ks. As you saw the other day when I did the 2K before the VO2 max stuff, my lactate's still too high. So today, I don't do 2K, I do 1Ks. I bring that pace to 3 minutes. It should, if you keep watching, we'll find out, it should put my lactate around anything from 2.5 to 4. That's perfect for LT2. Based on my fitness test, that threshold test, it told me that's where my LT2 is. So today's session, 12 by 1K, with 45 to 60 seconds recovery, probably closer to 45. We'll check the lactate, we'll see where it's at. I want to be running 3-minute Ks, so we'll stretch the recovery if we need to keep the lactate between 2.5 and 4. But while I do that session and show you how it went, let's talk through how you can structure your training week. And so today, I've already explained the session. You guys get to watch that right now in the background. I'll go through some of the splits, some of the lactates, and how it went. But now we're going to discuss not really a training week. We're going to look at what should go into a training period to then move the body forward. A training week, whether it's, we know there's 7 days in the week, but a training period could be 10 days, it could be 14, it could be 30. It has to be relevant to your next goal, and it has to be specific to move your body forward, your fitness forward. Body, fitness, both very important, and your psychology. Don't neglect any of those elements. They're all interconnected, and that's what moves things forward. I talk about trying to keep the training diary looking tidy, looking clean. You want to make sure it stays clean so that in a month's time, when you've done all that training, if the colors, you could say, in my little training diary look good, it's likely that I've done what I can to move things forward. That means I'm doing a cool mixture or blend, you could say, of easy, steady, VO2, lower end threshold, mid to high threshold, aerobic power just above threshold, and speed. You can also throw in hills, drills, these kind of things. I like to class as like skill development. Skill development where you're going to the track or you're going to a hill, it's not a super hard day, but you're still doing something useful that could move things forward. If by the end of 1 month, I don't know, I did too, if by the end of 1 month you've done a good combination of all those areas, all those zones, and you've seen the threshold curve earlier, you've worked the entire curve, you've done the first part of giving yourself that best chance of moving forward. Now the second part of all this isn't as easy, and that's your recovery stuff, your psychology stuff, your sleep at night, your hydration, your nutrition. Where was all of that stuff? Just by doing the 14 or 21 or 7-day cycle, you've gone some VO2, some threshold, some aerobic power, some speed, you've gone and done some hills for neuromuscular power, you've done all of that. But if you haven't done anything for recovery, you haven't sort of like spaced the training out the way that you should have to give your body the maximum chance of recovering, you might not absorb the training. What's really sad is you can get tired before you get fit. So fitness is like a big sponge. You dip the sponge in the water, you pull it out, it's full. That's how training works. So if you keep dipping the sponge in the water and pulling it out, you might not absorb the training. If your sponge gets full, you don't absorb any more training, which is quite sad. Okay, let's now make it relevant, and I done 5 sessions in 8 days. Because I did 5 sessions in 8 days, I was tired, I didn't do gym stuff, I didn't do recovery stuff. As you get more tired, legs get tired, you don't want to go to the gym. As you get more tired, motivation drops, you don't want to do yoga, you're not looking after your nutrition, etc, etc. So not only did I cram 5 sessions into 8 days, I might not even get the benefits of all 5 of those sessions because I wasn't looking after the other stuff and there wasn't enough space between training. Okay, with that story in mind and some context, now let's take a look at what could go into your training, and let's call it a cycle rather than a week or a period. It can be a micro cycle, which is a period of time that you're dedicating to move things forward. What I want you to start paying attention to is where your fitness is at right now and your next important race. 5K, 10K, half marathon, etc., full marathon. You should be working at where your current fitness is at. So if you know that you're in, let's say for talk's sake, 20-minute shape for 5K, and you're going to race another 5K and you want to run 18 minutes for 5K, you want to make sure in your training period, of course, there's a specific session for that 5K coming up. Probably within 6 to 8 weeks of that big goal, your 5K, you want to be running sessions that are 5K specific, maybe every 10 days, to make sure that, let's say for example, you do 6 by 1K, and you do that at the speed that you would like to run your next 5K. 5K effort, off you go. At the start, you can work with where you're currently at. So if you're in 20-minute shape, run a 20-minute pace. Week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, as you get closer to the race, you can start to move towards pace, okay? Now what you're trying to do is make it easier for the body to get to that pace. You don't want to get injured, you want to take this sensibly, but you also want to make sure that by the time the race comes around, you've possibly done 6 or maybe even 8 sessions to help your body along the way. Now, that would be 1 session within your training period. What else goes into your training period? You need to work the other areas of your own fitness curve. You need to sort of say to yourself, what is my max speed? And I'd be looking at, let's put VO2 at the top, and that's the kind of pace that you can hold for probably about 8 minutes. Then you're going to go right down to easy, okay? And that's your curve. Whatever you can hold for 8 minutes, easy, you could go all day. Then what you want to do is put marks as the speed goes along. Let's say this is 6 minutes per mile at your 8-minute pace, and then down at easy, you've got 10 minutes per mile. You want to work that entire area. Some of this is going to be called threshold, middle threshold. If you haven't done a test, it's okay. 3 to 4 word answer, threshold. Make sure in a training period, You're working on the entire spectrum. That's all I'm trying to encourage. Make sure that by the time your next race comes around, you haven't just fallen into the trap of, I like threshold, I like those tempo days, I'm only going to work tempo. Believe me, I love threshold, I love tempo days, but I also sometimes have to go to the track, the grass, the field, it doesn't matter, the road, the gravel, hills, and I have to work above threshold. Fitness works in a way that, of course, if you run a certain speed, you get better at running that speed. If you, however, work a little bit above that speed, you can also encourage and nudge it forward. So what I tend to do is I tend to do training at a very, very safe, low threshold intensity. Then I do some training like you've just watched in this video right now, and that's at LT2, the higher end of threshold. But then sometimes I mix it up a bit where I include both in sessions, and I might be wrong, but I hope that I just nudge things along. It's kind of like holding threshold's hand and hoping that by guiding it, starting a bit easier threshold, moving up to sort of mid to high threshold, and then a little bit above, maybe I'll nudge that forward. At the end of a training period, if you wanted to get better at running 7 minutes per mile, for example, you need to start to have a look. Did I actually run at 7 minutes per mile in this 10-day period? And if you didn't, do not be surprised at the end of that period if perhaps you didn't get better at running 7 minutes per mile. Start the work a little bit below race pace, a little bit above race pace, and plenty of volume at race pace. Work your very low end, steady threshold type day. See my video on steady running. Start to figure out your thresholds. Maybe consider getting tested. It's very important. But also look at going right up to that top end and raise that ceiling. Don't forget, amongst all of this, the most important thing, recovery from all of this. The only way to bounce back is good recovery. If you do VO2, aerobic power, hard hills, you might need 2 easy days. If you're new to running, you might always need 2 easy days. Not every same session needs the same recovery time. But what else are you doing? Epsom baths, ice baths, self-massage at home, foam rolling? Are you strengthening in the gym so that your body is stronger to handle the training better? Start to look at these things. If you need help on that, check out joggingroom.com, so much advice, and it's going to start to help how much of this training you absorb. It's that simple. You can do all the hard work, but sometimes you don't absorb it all. Like the sponge, if your sponge is full and you're not draining it, you're not absorbing the hard work. I hope you enjoyed that. That session went brilliant. I tried to make this as quick as I could. It was a good session for me. I actually ended up doing 14k because I did a 2k at the end to see where that lactate was at. The lactate this time, even though I was tired from the session, my lactate was 4.5, which is a lot lower than 5.5. I thought I was a bit tired in Portugal, and that's likely why it was a bit higher. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for supporting the channel, all this stuff. When you support joggingroom.com, it supports this channel. I can post more, get better cameras, better lighting, better mics, as everyone keeps complaining about the mics. But do me a favor, check it out. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, comment below, subscribe, give me some love, and take care. Happy running.